really talking and communicating well is still evolving too, which is
Yep,
good.
I agree. Yeah, it's going to be a constant evolution, but one that I think that we're input signal. What are more tracks you are? The girls were fucking with these. There we go. See.
How was the work day?
It was fine. I had to go to Rhode Island.
Did you can anybody?
No, just some fucking dumb shit. Tomorrow off. I'll be off tomorrow, so I gotta fucking work Saturday. So I'll get some shit done around here tomorrow.
Nice. What do you got?
I gotta do the artwork and all that shit like that. So
Nice.
let's make sure some see how this sands real quick.
There we go. Do we need to say anything about Pro Mix or anything?
I was gonna throw in some Pro Mix tonight, right?
Yeah.
We probably should.
Yeah.
Probably should.
I agree.
Hey guys, what is this? One or more tracks are not getting an output signal. Stop the recording and make sure your microphone or audio device is not muted and that you selected the right input for your tracks.
The fucking thing.
Reload your studio. It tells me to do it too, so I'm just gonna fucking do that.
Reload. Is there anything good going on this weekend? Like kid-wise stuff, like you do with kids?
Kid-wise stuff.
Because we have Nora and Bennett too. So.
Oh, you do? Why were the?
Lauren and Josh, I guess, are going to Josh's brother's having a party. I guess he turned 30.
Oh, shoot. You have them all day?
Luckily, no. I mean, they're coming at 1:30, but they better be picked up quick. But I mean, we're figuring that we'll take them somewhere, do something Bali, and then feed them.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a bunch of fucking not fairs, but like
False.
pumpkin pad. There's a place, I'll send it to you, Pumpkin Town, I think it's called.
Okay.
It has like basic shit, hayride stuff, like that kind of stuff. But like, it's like a little place that has like mums and pumpkins. But like, I forget where it is. Like, I think it's like a half hour away.
Okay.
But maybe half hour away.
Right.
But I'll send you the thing. I think it's called Pumpkin Town. We have a magnet of it up in our fridge there. So
Yeah, let me know.
yeah, make sure this sounds good before. That's easy. It's outside. Keep them occupied, right?
Absolutely.
Weird. It's like I think it's like a half hour away, but maybe half hour away. Right. But I'll send you the thing. I think it's called Pumpkin Town. We have a magnet of it up in our fridge there. So yeah, let me know. All right.
Lights, camera, action.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, man.
Let me just look at this one more time.
Having some oats stuck in my teeth, I feel like.
Do you like popcorn?
Ugh.
Wow. Didn't see that coming.
You like popcorn?
Yeah, it's a really good kind. It's made with like coconut oil and just Himalayan sea salt.
What?
It's really fun.
What's
the brand? I don't know.
Is it vegan?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I feel like that's a little far away.
Yeah, we're a little far. But no, this is good.
No, we're good.
They also said
popcorn's disgusting.
Why?
I just fucking hate it. I hate the way it gets stuck in my teeth. I can hear it when I chew it. Sounds like I'm eating styrofoam. It's terrible.
All right. Okay.
Did I just ruin the night?
No, that's fine.
All right. Who's card enough?
All right, I'll rip it.
You'll rip it?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, ready?
Oh boy, I'm ready.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Model Mindset, episode 54.
54? Who's 54?
Rodney Rogers.
Okay.
Remember him?
No.
Ooh, he was a
Rodney
former New
Rogers.
Jersey Net. He was built like a brick house.
Okay, if he was number 54, he was probably ass. So.
I mean, he was in the league for a while.
Okay. Well, so was Kendall
Unfortunately, I think
Perkins.
he passed away. So.
Well, not see.
Should we edit this? Anywho, back to the pod. So we have officially surpassed a year of doing the pod and being on our journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to talk about that, plus also how you hone in on your vision.
Yeah.
Because it's not a straight path.
No.
So John, what would you say is the biggest takeaway you have from this past year?
So it's a quote we say a lot, and I was thinking about it when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today, because for the second week in a row, we've had to adjust. Thanks a lot.
Nora.
That's 2 shout outs. No, just kidding. So it was in all reality that a little by little, a little becomes a lot. I think we totally have learned that.
True.
Because at first I think, like anybody would be, really ambitious, want to go get it, you know, let's say yes to everything and all this stuff like that, and you find out quickly that's not the way.
Right.
And then you find your victories are oftentimes small, and they just kind of accumulate. So it's kind of what I learned the first year, man. I mean, just with the podcast itself, but also with our business too. So
what would you say has given you energy to continue? And to not quit. Ooh.
I think the long-term goals, and I think of what
you hit what? Was there a child around? What the hell is that?
it wasn't plugged in.
Does that mean it wasn't recording?
It wasn't recording. Luckily, we're 3 minutes in, and half of it was talking about whoever the fuck you were talking about.
Sure, Rodney Rogers. Google that.
I have to Google him because. Yeah. All right, my bad.
No, you're good. Hey, it's 3 minutes in, man. Plus, I had no internet for the past week, so I think we're all right.
You're in good shape. Good thing I looked down.
That's a damn good thing.
That would have sucked.
That would have,
That would have sucked.
Okay, you ready?
All right.
Here we go.
You know what?
What do you got? Poop?
No, I want to have it tonight. Is that
Okay, go for it, man. This is your world. I am just a passenger.
All right. Let's do it again.
Okay, here
Let's
we go.
do it again. I'm ready now.
Welcome back, everybody, to Model Mindset. This is your boy Brian. We got John, of course. This
Going
is
down.
episode 54.
54.
This is officially a year
Yep.
that we have the podcast and that we've been on our journey.
Yep.
So I think it's only fitting that we talk about our evolution this past year, how we've honed in on the vision and how others can hone in on the vision.
Yeah.
And let's get right into it.
Right into it.
What would you say is the biggest takeaway you have from this past year?
A little by little, a little becomes a lot is
Jim
our
Quick.
favorite quote, Jim Quick. And I remembered that throughout the last year because you try to think so large scale sometimes, and you have to remember that the victories are often very small and they kind of just compound and accumulate over time. And that's where it's important to not get so far ahead of yourself. And I think we had a hard time with that at first.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed.
but once we kind of got some victories under our belt, it was like we used that to understand momentum better and then how to build off of that. So there were a lot of lessons in those small victories. So that's certainly what I took from it.
You know what's cool too is like a side effect of, you know, consistently showing up is you hit goals.
Right.
So we've set out those little goals where it was be a guest on a podcast,
Mhm.
Run a speed and agility camp.
Yep.
We've had these little goals along the way, and they were just a side effect for us getting to the large goal.
Right.
We're still working towards.
Yeah.
But it's cool, like that is the side effect.
It is. And what's also cool is I think now, even like when we don't have, you know, something that we're sitting there going, all right, we want to do this next, right? Generally we do.
Mhm.
But if it's a time where and it's often where we just finish up something big and we know kind of momentum is a thing, and we want to make sure we're keeping that rolling, but we don't force it now though. Like before, I feel like we try to force stuff. Now we're like, all right, if we keep up the work and our intentions are where they're supposed to be with our work, then the next thing's just going to present itself to us, right? We're still looking for things. We're still going after stuff, but we're also not trying to get like that big thing anymore, you know?
Right.
I feel like sometimes we would get really clouded in that and want this like level of success that's.
I would agree with that. I mean, even the speaking engagement, I mean, that gives us a lot of, it's a huge rush for us.
Yep.
It gives us a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
We feel the positivity. And as soon as you have one, you want to line up another one.
Yes.
And
that stuff's contagious.
Yes. You crave it. And so you're also looking for that opportunity. And you're like, we're not growing fast enough. We're not growing fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you got to take a step back and just say, hey, look at where we've come in
Mm-hmm.
a year. We'll continue to build. We'll continue to progress. We'll get there. My follow-up question for you is, you know, a year is 365 days.
It is.
That can be a long time if you look at it in the grand scheme of things.
Yep.
How have you maintained energy to keep going after it?
So it's kind of how you said it though. Like it's the habits that you've built up that it becomes second nature. And like I know we talk about it all the time that you're on autopilot at a certain point. Like your routine in your day is just it. There's no excuses. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
And like for me, and I know for you too, I love the work that goes into achieving those goals. Like that's enjoyment to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't see that as like, oh, man,
it's
like,
not work.
It's not work. Like we finish up our 9 to 5s, we take care of our kids, we spend time with our families, and then come 8:30 at night, we're working until 10 at night.
Yeah. Sunday
through Thursday, religiously. We've been on that schedule for probably since what, October?
Yeah.
Probably earlier than that, because it was probably when the pod was starting, so probably last year.
Yeah.
So for the whole entire year, that's been our schedule.
And I remember when we were first starting out too, we might have been doing like Sunday to Fridays.
I know, yeah, right.
I think we finally had to say, okay, let's do Friday and Saturdays for the family.
Yep.
And we'll do Sunday and Thursday.
Right. But like I said though, it was never work to us. It's not work to us still.
Right.
I think so I had a cool conversation with Danny. Last week we went on our date night, and the questions that you formulated for the relationship game that we're gonna be coming out with you guys soon, we played on the drive.
Awesome.
And she asked, in one of the questions you had, she asked me was, what's the thing you're most proud of yourself for? And I said, starting our business and what we've done the last year. And she was like, that's exactly what I would have said too for you. And like something like that for me, and I can probably say it for you too, man, it's like I'm glad that even though we don't need it, I'm glad people can see that like we're working hard at this thing, like because it really means a lot to us. So like the work that we're putting into it, not that it needs to be seen, but when you grind away like we do,
mm-hmm.
It's nice for the people closest to us to be like, yeah, we're super proud of you for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because a lot of the things that we do are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like because part of it is grind in silence.
Oh yeah.
You know, but our wives and our kids see how much work we put in. They see
mm-hmm.
the early mornings. They see the late nights.
Yeah.
And it's instilling a work ethic in them. And then if you go after your passion consistently, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
You know, we're still on that path, but we're setting the example for our kids.
Yeah.
It's cool.
For sure. And you know what's interesting about the whole journey and the biggest takeaways we have from it are, and you said it to me probably a few weeks ago when we were just kind of, I think, just bullshitting at some point. And you're like, it's crazy that people just genuinely want to help.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I never thought of it that way. But I love the way you kind of like had that thought in explaining to me at the moment of like what all the things we're doing and all the things that we're looking for. It's okay to ask for help because people just are genuine about helping people.
Right. Well, you know what's cool too is when people do ask either about the podcast or kind of what we do or what I do, I will talk about our fitness and coaching in the podcast. I won't talk about my full-time job.
Right, me neither.
And so people get intrigued about the podcast and they'll ask what it's about.
Mhm.
And so we'll talk about how it's fitness, but we also bring on guests that have quite a background, whether they're entrepreneurs or they've experienced various setbacks in life and have persevered. And it's really cool because I say all we're trying to do is inspire, motivate, and educate.
Yeah.
And all we want to do is help people. And when I talk about that openly, people instantly are like, oh, you know who would be a great guest on your podcast?
Right, yeah.
Or you know who you should talk to?
Yeah.
And instantly there's just this really great positive rapport.
Yeah.
Because they understand that what we're doing is genuine.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is just trying to help people be better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know others that are either doing the same thing or that can help us maybe take that little step forward or something.
Yep.
But it's awesome. And I gave you an example last Friday when I was with Dan and Jay, and we were just having a great conversation. His buddy Carm came over, who's a great guy, and and that's where I was like, man, we just had great conversations. Cell phones weren't up.
Right.
We're all just talking to each other, and you could feel the positive energy, and we just had really great conversations.
Yeah, and that guy gave you great resources.
Yeah.
Hey, man, this you should reach out to this guy.
Yeah.
It was so natural, but like that's the stuff I kind of anticipate now, and that's kind of what I mean when I'm saying like after you finish something big, like I don't worry about the next thing because we're just networking so often now that something's gonna come up that we weren't even anticipating half the time. But I want to ask something though.
Yes.
With this whole thing, the last year, say you're catching up with somebody, and they haven't been in touch with what we're doing or what you're doing. Do you find it sometimes hard to articulate exactly what it is and what like the vision and goal is for what we're doing, or does it come out pretty naturally to you?
I would say it comes out a little more natural now. When we were first starting out, I was kind of like, oh man, I have to explain it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel now it's a little more, I would say well rehearsed because I've gotten it asked quite a few times. But people will come back and be like, oh, so you're like a personal trainer?
Right.
And so I say, yeah, I can do personal training. I am a certified personal trainer, but we just want to help people unlock the best version of themselves.
Right.
And we know by focusing on improving your body and your mind, that's when you can tap into your true greatness.
Right.
And so that's when I've said that.
Yep.
That's when people are like, that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then I kind of go into like, oh, we've spoken to these youth camps. We've spoken to a reintegration center.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wow. And then I talk about the topics.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, wow, man, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of reaction, which is cool about you.
Yeah, so it depends who I'm talking to a lot of times, right? And I overthink it where I'm trying to, like, in my head, think of...
Like, are you trying to sell them?
Kind of, right? Like, you know what I mean? Or, like, think of it in the way of I can explain it to them in a way that they'll be able to understand what I'm saying. When in reality, if it's like, dude, just fucking say it. Like, just kind of how you do, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, man... And one thing I took away, and we're going to talk about this in a bit here with kind of like your visions and honing in on your visions and stuff, is the people who are closest to you, I find having the hardest time explaining what we're doing to, which is odd. Like sometimes, like if I'm talking to Danny about something, I'll feel like weird, like when I'm trying to explain it to her because I'm in my head, I'm like, she doesn't see it the way I see it. And that's fine. It's not because she's not supportive of me. It's just because everything is in my mind.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to like spit it out into a way that I can paint the picture for her or for anyone who's asking about it the way I see it, it makes me feel silly sometimes. So it's funny because it's almost like a mind fuck. Where then I'm like, well, am I doing it right? Because it makes you kind of not second guess what you're doing, but it makes you just stumble on trying to explain it. And so I've just kind of learned that like it's almost sometimes easier for me to like not bring things up sometimes and just kind of get them done, work on them, and then it's like, okay, we have this coming up. Just so you know, we're gonna be talking about this.
That's exactly what I do too. And I understand about the significant other with Danny and Val, the same thing, because at the end of the day, we just want to make them very proud of us.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think we don't want to come across where it's like, because something might excite us, and we know talking to them, they may not get as excited.
Yes.
Which is okay. But we're just trying to show to them that, hey, we're making progress. Like we're
for sure.
We're gonna do this.
Yep.
And sometimes I don't know if, and I'll speak for Val. I don't know if she thinks that we're making progress fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I feel like sometimes I won't say what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, when the mind fuck comes in,
mm-hmm.
is, am I going fast enough?
Yes. Yes.
And she'll make comments to me where it's like, wow, you guys are doing really good.
Right.
Like, you guys are doing really good. And like, that is awesome. But I always am like, that's why we're like, okay, what's next?
And you're right. It's in us. Like it's in your mind. So like anyone who's listening, who's going for something and going after something, if you're having that hard time articulating it, or like you're giving yourself that little mind fuck that we do, like totally normal, we totally understand where you're coming from on that. But that's in you. That's not, don't project that on the people around you. That's in you. You got to work through that. And we're a year in and still working through that every day.
Yeah.
It's just about being consistent. We just put your head down and it's so cliche, but just do the work.
Well, 3 words come to mind, and that's consistency, persistency, and resilience.
Yeah, I like that.
You have that, and that's what you can continue to lean on.
Yeah.
Because those 3 things, if you're consistent, if you are resilient, because shit will happen, shit will go sideways.
Yep.
And you're persistent, like you keep getting after it.
Yeah.
Opportunities will present themselves.
For sure.
People will see that you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go into it then. Let's go into the whole vision side of this thing now, because I love this topic because it helps me work through some of the stuff that I'm struggling with on that back end, and understanding like our vision and how to articulate it, or the struggles that you could have when you have a vision and you're trying to kind of put it all into put a bow on it, if you will, and try to have like a finished product in your head. It's not that easy. Like having a vision is not as simple as you may think it is.
Yeah, a couple months ago when you couldn't sleep and you're
freaking the fuck out
me every 5 fucking seconds.
That's not my personality whatsoever up until that point.
And you were blowing.
I couldn't.
You blew me up so much. I had to say, Val, I'm like, I think John's freaking out.
I was borderline wilding out, waking up thinking about this shit.
Yeah.
And it's never happened to me before, but like in my head, like now that it's past and gone, I'm like, it's like you just really care, and that's cool, that's fine. But totally. Like, I gotta practice what I preach too, though, about like how to bring that shit back down. That's the first time it's ever happened to me where I'm like, we need answers, we gotta go, so.
And just for transparency purposes, this was a camp that had poor planning on our part. That was basically put together a week in advance. We had a little marketing, and it was at the very end of summer.
Yeah.
With a week before
in
school.
And in the same week soccer's all started. It was just a bad time, and we were just trying to rush one out.
Yeah.
And I was wilding. So like, but yeah, so if you have a vision, like it's okay, it's not always perfect.
Yeah.
So if you have to create a vision, right, and someone like has an idea, I want to do this, I'm just not sure what it looks like, where do they start?
I think you got to write it down. You know how I am a huge fan of journaling.
Yep.
But I mean, even some of the guys that asked us for some advice at Cybulski, we always said, do you journal?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll speak for men. Men are not very good at articulating a vision, a goal, or a dream at times. And that's why I feel like when you journal or write it down, that's when you can actually see it come to fruition, or at least plot it out.
Yep.
So I would say write it down. And it could be maybe like that huge dream or goal that you have, and you dissect it from there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where, okay, you know, for us, we want a brick and mortar place.
Yeah.
You know, we had to dissect it from there. Like, how are we going to get there? Well, we're going to build a podcast. Then we're going to start building these camps. Then we're going to start, we're working with teachers. So it's like these other avenues that are still fitness and mindset related that are going to build us to get into that brick and mortar place.
Mm-hmm.
So writing that down, having that vision. And I think you need to understand too is, who is where you want to be. Like we say mentors all the time.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if you just try to create something on your own, which we all know you need a support system, you need someone that you can kind of lean on for either a blueprint or maybe borrow some ideas so that you can say, hey, you know what? I'll use Lewis House because I think he does a very good job in podcasting. He's very genuine, which is helpful.
Yep.
We kind of just took some ideas from him. We took some ideas from Jim Quick, took some ideas from the Model Health Show. And
right.
We didn't reinvent the wheel.
No, exactly. Yeah, but you also have to be honest with yourself about where you're at.
100%.
Because that was one thing that I think from the jump, and kind of you touch on it a little bit, like with your interactions with Val, is like, am I going fast enough? But like, these people have been doing it forever. You know what I mean? So like when you're sitting there going, well, how do I do it like them? It's like, you don't do it like them. You can take characteristics and things, like you said. You're not going to be them or do it like them, though.
Yeah, it's your own way. You take ideas.
For sure,
concepts,
right? And like that comes like, even like with the podcast and stuff. And man, like, it's oftentimes like right now, today I'm just driving and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, it's been a year, and how do we now like still feel a little bit not uncomfortable, but like you're still coming out of your shell a little bit a year later.
Right.
That's how I feel. Like it's odd for me talking into a microphone and being in front of a camera and doing things a year later still. Like it's still, sometimes I feel good and like I'm loose, which is fine, but like, am I being too uptight? Am I trying to sound like somebody that I'm really not? Like, am I trying too hard to relay a message and worried too much about sounding like a messenger? Like, there's just so many different things that I was thinking about with it. Like, can you fucking tell? Like,
you were going on a danger there, buddy.
Oh my God, I'm driving up. So I'm like, but that's like where my vision is. I'm like, okay, but like, what do you want to be? Like, what do you want to sound like? What do you want to, and I'm like, dude, just sound like yourself. Like, just talk like yourself.
I remember when we were talking about doing a speaking engagement, and we were watching that Ed Milet video. I forget who sent it. Did you send it to me?
I think so, yeah. It was one of his TED Talks? Is that what it was?
It wasn't a TED Talk. I forget where it was, but it was such a great discussion. It was such a great speech. And at first, I was trying to be like Ed Milet.
Right.
But, and like, that's where the imposter syndrome comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no imposter for yourself.
Right.
So if you could just be yourself, and that's where I feel like now I'm starting to come out of my shell on the podcast. Before, man, I'd be like sweating and nervous and shit.
Yeah.
Now it's a little more natural.
Right.
I don't think I'm fucking up as much with my thoughts, which is nice.
Yeah, but because we would always try to like, I think we'd be very message focused.
Yeah.
And instead, like, just be John and Brian. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to be these people who sound like they should be relaying this message. Just talk about it like you normally would. That's how we would like that information passed along to us.
Yeah.
And that's how the people who listen to this probably enjoy it, right? They know who we are.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want them listening to this and being like, that's not what you guys fucking sound like. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I want to touch on something that you said earlier that was spot on. Your vision is yours.
Yes.
And when you tell people about your vision, what you're going to do or what you're trying to do, people may discount that.
Yeah.
But you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not everybody's going to see your vision. Not everybody's going to have the same passion or energy or focus as you do. And that's okay.
Yes.
Because we've seen it firsthand. When we come at people with how much energy we have and stuff, people don't share fitness, the love of fitness like we do,
Exactly.
or the love of the mind-body connection, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But when we are around people that share that same passion, watch out, because we'll light up a room.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no doubt. And that's one of the biggest things I learned too, is like the people closest to you could not give a flying fuck about what you're talking about.
Right.
That's totally fine though. Like I don't resent that from the people who are closest to me, who have no interest in what I'm doing, who don't ask about what we're doing, who don't listen to the podcast, who don't like any of our shit on social, right? Like don't follow us on social. Some of the closest people to me, I'm like, oh, like I'm surprised like so and so wouldn't have said something about that. And then I'm looking like, oh well, they don't even follow us, so like of course they didn't even see it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I'm not butthurt by it. It's all good, like because that's not what they're interested in,
Right.
and that's okay. Like so, don't take that stuff personal. Like you said, your vision is your vision.
Right.
It's not their vision.
Yeah.
But it's not the easiest thing in the world to understand and feel okay with. Okay, the people closest to me may not really care about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too with crafting up your own vision, if you will, is you have to understand what gives you energy. You know, I remember when I was growing up, when I was like in college, the societal norm after high school, of course, is you go to college. After college, once you graduate, it's kind of like, well, what do I do next? And I followed my father's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that I wanted to do? I don't really know. It was just kind of like, this is what I do next. But like you said, you have to get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Understand like what gives you energy. If I took just reflected, either out of college or something, and just said, hey, you know, what did I love to do when I was younger?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was outside running around all the time playing soccer and everything. That is all fitness.
Yeah.
I loved working out. Like that should have stuck out to me. But
Yeah.
I never really done any kind of self-reflection when I was younger. And I'm pretty excited when we go and speak with Enfield High, the career day and career center or whatever we're doing, to say, you know, it's okay not to want to go to college and feel like that's not the right step for you. That's okay.
Yeah.
Follow what is exciting to you.
Yeah.
Not your parents, not anybody else.
Right.
What's exciting to you?
Yeah. Because a lot of what could be exciting to them, again, is not understood by somebody else.
Yeah.
So it maybe keeps them in their shell of exploring it.
Yeah.
You know, which could be something fun that we can kind of dabble into now that we're talking about it. Like that could be a really good talking point for us. Good thing this is recording. But real quick before we move on, you mentioned what gives us energy, and what gives us energy now. Pro Mix Nutrition. So we recently had partnered with Pro Mix Nutrition. We are now part of the Pro Mix family. You know, the reason we chose Pro Mix is simply because they have the most pure and natural, no artificial flavors, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial nothing. Pre-workouts, powders, snacks, vitamins, all these different things. It's all natural. It's all farm to table. None of that nasty side effects that we were feeling from a lot of our old supplements we would take. This stuff is top level, and it provides us with all the most, you know, clean energy that we're looking for.
It's fantastic, man. I mean, especially with the electrolytes. We're training for half marathon.
Yeah.
Banged out 10 miles on Saturday. Bright early in the morning, guzzled down some electrolytes from Pro Mix, and that 10 miles was nothing.
Yeah.
The protein powder, the vegan protein powder, French vanilla.
Ooh,
so good.
Oh yeah.
Check it out.
Check it out. We'll have some links in our bio, some coupon codes for you guys. Check it out. Pro Mix Nutrition. We are proud new partners with them. Check them out at Pro Mix Nutrition, promix.com. All right now, as Travis Kelce would say, Mr. Taylor Swift himself.
Oh man, I hate that. They need
Why?
to stop talking about that. First of all,
What
I'm not a
upsets you so
Swiftie
much?
fan. Fuck her. Sorry.
Okay, this is aggressive.
Wow.
Okay, hold on.
Let's edit that.
We're backing
Sorry.
up. We're backing
Yeah.
up. You're angry at Taylor Swift.
All right. Well,
Let's
it's just
dive
that
into this real quick.
It's like, dude, she could. I'm not. Let's move on.
No.
Fuck that hoe. She writes about every dude that's wronged her, and she's got to write a song about him.
So you think Travis Kelce's next?
Oh, he's on the radar. Because I feel like he didn't understand what he's getting himself into.
Oh, he's in it now.
And now he's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I thought I'd just tap it once and then go. And it's like, no, you don't do that with T Swift, buddy. And now he's like, oh my God, she is like obsessed.
Okay. I think you've really painted a very broad picture
Oh, man.
of what's going on. All right. So.
And now watch, I can already see it. Every interview or media conference that Travis Kelce has to do, he's gonna get asked.
Oh, he has been asked about it 100 times now.
He's
Yeah.
gonna get pissed.
Yeah.
And then his brother Jason Kelce's gonna start getting asked about it, and he's gonna start getting pissed, and he's gonna be like, all right, I get it, okay. Let's talk some football, okay.
All right. Man, you have. I'm sorry. I think I struck a chord.
No, it's fine. You know, just whatever.
Okay. Not a Swiftie. All right.
Not a Swiftie.
All right.
Okay.
So, the hardest part now for us, getting back to our vision conversation now, the hardest part of formulating a vision for us is something that, for me personally, was trying to articulate at the start, right? But
Right.
also finding out that it really changes a lot too.
Yeah, and I think that's well, I'll say this. It does change a lot, but you also have to understand when things don't work out, you have to change the way you look at it to where it's like, what did I learn from that experience? I think with the podcast in particular, it's been a good example where we've had to adjust some things in the podcast to where we have more control, I would say, over the interview.
Yeah.
I would also say that we recently discovered, I think this is a great idea, when we have guests come on, we pick like a specific topic for that episode.
Right.
And I feel like that's helpful because that kind of narrows our talking points.
Yeah.
Rather than going everywhere.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, again, it changed so much, which makes you question, am I changing it too much, too rapidly, right? Because when you're trying to find your footing, it's going to happen, and you're gonna maybe feel like it comes across as like you're not sure what you're doing, but it's probably because you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we were just learning on the fly. Like, we just had an idea. Like, let's grab some mics. Let's do this thing, right?
Yeah.
And we just been learning ever since. And then we found out sometimes our audio was shitty. What do we got to do? All right, what kind of mics are we supposed to be using, right? Like, we were just going through everything.
Yeah. I think the other thing too about this is it's not a want, but you need to continue to learn.
Yeah.
And I think we do a very good job of that. And maybe it's too much at times, but fuck it. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
We listen to podcasts like every single day.
Yeah.
And there's always some sort of nugget. I always write down every single day when I'm doing my Core 4, I always write down growth pod and then like what I learned so that it kind of stays fresh in my memory.
Yeah.
And that's huge because every day you're learning something new.
Yeah.
And there's 365 days in a year, and you and I both know we're probably consuming some sort of podcast or learning something at least 6 days out of a week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
and because it's changing so much, and like when your vision changes a little bit, I think it taught me to be kind of how I worded it, was being both nearsighted and farsighted.
Yeah.
So like, see what's in front of you, be able to work on a task, accomplish it without having to think about what it means for the ultimate goal. Because I was having such a hard time like not meshing those two.
Yeah.
And I was just like, while doing the far-sighted task, I was not paying attention and not being mindful of like, if this is just one thing, take care of this one thing. Not everything has to be about climbing that mountain, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just take care of this. And so like your vision will change sometimes, where those goals that are part of what's just in front of you right now takes you like on that side street, right? Or gets you off that road for a minute, and that's fine. It's just you have to be able to roll with that more, and that was a learning experience for me. I had to be able to roll with it more.
I mean, this week had presented some curves. With
It
my
did.
internet going
Yes,
out.
it presented a lot of
Like
curves.
every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I will be very honest with you. I felt very guilty, and I'm like, I'm not carrying my weight. This has not been a very productive week.
Yeah.
But then there's like little signs that kind of just like present itself.
Mhm.
You know, Tony reaching out to us.
Yeah.
That was a positive.
Mhm.
Jason reaching out to us saying how like the sweatshirts and stuff are going to be going out
Yeah.
soon. Those are both positive steps to
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, Brian, don't be caught up so much on that. These are signs that, hey, you're still making progress.
Right,
You know,
right.
which is huge.
Yeah.
The one thing I would also say that we have not mentioned is when you are developing a vision, I think you do kind of obsess about how is this going to make money. And I think when we first started out, I was getting questions right away from that, like, are you making money?
Mhm.
And I would answer with, it's not about that right now.
Yeah.
Because it's true, it wasn't about that right now.
Yes.
What we're trying to do is we just wanted to help. And I continue to say that we want to help, because it's true. But now we're in the phase of, okay, how are we going to brainstorm and start to make consistent revenue,
Right.
which is tough.
It is.
But like when someone is starting off with a vision, don't become so obsessed about revenue that it derails the vision.
It derails the creativity.
Right. Brainstorm, dude. We love brainstorming.
Oh my god.
The
it's best.
brainstorming sessions
Love those.
give us so much energy
Yeah.
because it's like, oh my God.
Yep.
Because we see it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
it's cool.
And we would. So we would make these things or make these programs or have these, set up these camps or try to set up other, collaborations with people and stuff. And it was like, all right, well, is this going to be something that we can do consistently? Can we make this part of, like you said, a revenue stream? You're right. And when you're solely focused on that, you are completely eliminating the creative portion of the process, which is the most important of the process, I think, because that's where like a lot of your intentions will lie.
Yeah, and why you started this in the beginning? Why did you start it?
Exactly.
Why did you
intentions,
want to do
right?
Yeah.
So and we found that our successes have come from when we're just working on stuff because we feel like it could be helpful. It's giving us opportunity to be different and creative, and that it excites us.
Yeah, and we put the energy out. People see it, they want to be around us.
Right. So and that's where hey, can you guys come and do this? It's like, absolutely we can,
Yeah.
right? And there's been things that we've been asked, we're like, nope, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
We're all set. We've learned to say no on some stuff.
Yeah.
That's been important too.
Yeah.
So, but you're 100% right, because as entrepreneurs, obviously the goal is to make money.
Yeah.
Like that's your goal, is to have a successful business. But we talked about it from the jump. Listen, 2 years we can evaluate like where we're at.
Right.
Is this growing consistently or is it not? And from when we really started, which was probably in the spring because I wasn't certified up until that point.
Right.
I think from what we've done then, and that's been in all reality, 5 months maybe?
Yeah.
April, May, June, July, August, we're in September now, so maybe 5 months. There's been a steady stream of growth.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
So that to me, I'm like, we're good. We're on the right path. We're doing the right things. I'm just now looking forward to having that big breakthrough.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the other thing too is the people that we follow in this space that we're in, either personal development or the fitness industry, all of them talk about when they're getting started out or when they're starting out doing stuff for free.
Mhm.
And that's where we're at too, is because we're trying to make a name for ourselves.
Yes. Yep.
There's going to become a time where we've already discussed before, like we reach a certain number of speaking engagements or we reach a certain number of camps and stuff, where we start charging more or we start charging for speaking engagements.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just we aren't taking for granted what we're providing for free.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Mhm.
there are things that we won't provide for free, and that's fine.
Right.
There are things now that we will provide for free for certain, people or parties, whatever that may be, and that's fine. We're happy to do that. If we weren't, we have already had conversations about it with the individuals involved. But again, that goes back to just being honest with yourself. Am I in a place to charge? Right? Am I in a place to charge this much? So, and we have those conversations all the time. We plan events We plan camps, we plan engagements, we plan all these things. You and I go back and forth on how much we should be charging.
Yeah.
Where you're like, nope, it should be this much. And I'm like, nope, it should be this much. And then we kind of have that healthy conversation and kind of will come to a middle ground. And
Come
then,
to Jesus moment.
right. And it's just, but it's part of the process.
Yeah.
So all these different things go into your vision. So how do you create a vision for yourself? You got to be honest with yourself. You have to understand your intentions. You have to understand it's okay to have visions that maybe not all people see. You got to be willing to find that inspiration in those visions, because that's what going to get you going.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
The things that are hard in your visions are trying to articulate it. They're ever changing. Understanding that the main road has many side streets. You're going to get distracted sometimes, and that's normal. Finding your niche is a big one for us, right? So let's get into that real quick.
That could be difficult, but I think we're in the discovery mode of trying to find our niche, because it's not deterring us.
No.
And a lot of people that we listen to too, this is common.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you keep an open mind and you continue to entertain opportunities to see, hey, that was actually really cool. Let's explore that a little more.
Yeah.
You'll discover your niche.
Yeah.
We're pursuing an avenue right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna see where that goes.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is.
And that could be something that we didn't necessarily take into account, but that's something that could truly.
And when we say like find your niche, like it's not like for us, like it's not, say for example, public speaking. Like that's not our niche. Who were you speaking to? Right. It's not providing stress management programs. Who were you providing them to?
Right.
So like that's where you got to dial in and narrow it down to. It can be hard. You could have new ideas, which could change your target audience. You have to explore that.
Yeah.
It's going to change probably. It's like, if you think about it, and you talk about our two I guess niches. It sounds weird saying that, right? Niches.
It does sound niches.
Niches. If you look at our two with Self-Educare, we're working with teachers. If you're looking at our speaking engagements, our largest groups and our most successful groups have been inside the prison system.
Right.
Okay, so two unique target audiences. Try to hone in on those, figure out where our opportunities are, and go from there. And then we can adjust if needed.
Absolutely.
But we're finding success in that right now, so that's where we're going.
And it gives us passion.
Dude, we exactly, we love what we're talking about with these people. So that's what's the most exciting part of it all.
Yeah.
So, we've heard a lot where people will think, well, what I like to do and what my vision consists of, everyone's already doing it. Like there's already someone doing that. It's oversaturated, right? Yeah. But in reality, and what we've been taught, and what I truly believe now, because I had the same thoughts that someone who would say that has, is there is room for you.
Absolutely.
There is room for you. You can have a space in this, because if you have your target audience, or you have your niche, or you have whatever it is, there are billions and billions of people in this world.
Yeah.
Some of them are meant for you.
And you're unique. Every person is unique in this world.
Exactly.
You bring a particular set of skills. I sound like Liam Neeson.
Ooh. Very particular set of skills.
But don't be in a shell.
Yeah.
We don't get a redo with this life. This is the life that we have.
Yep.
So don't discount you as a person, you as your value. There are people out there that would listen to what you say, to listen to the value that you bring.
Yeah.
John, I'm gonna ask you this.
All right.
Okay. What is one thing in your vision that people would find interesting?
So that would find interesting, I think, is that ever since we started doing what we're doing and having the strong desire to make this our life, right? This is what we want to do now. We want to move forward with this and have this be our lives. I have developed this weird vision and obsession of us on planes.
Traveling.
Like so it's fun. It's a small part of my vision that kind of weaves into a larger part of our vision, which is that we want to travel around and do these speaking engagements in a lot of different places and all this. But I have like these flashes of us getting onto planes.
Absolutely.
And I know when I'm outside or wherever and I see a plane go by, I instantly stop and just watch that plane travel. And when I'm watching it travel, I think of who's on that plane, and I think of what's their journey that brought them on that plane to where they're going. Because then I'm like, all right, well, when I get on the plane, and I'm be thinking about, okay, I'm going here, talk to these people about this thing for my business, and how exciting that is. So like I just constantly now will like look for planes and like so I could have that moment to be like one day. Like
that's awesome.
That's where my vision is, and like a plane signifies you are going somewhere to do something. So like that's my like flash of a vision that I always have. For some reason, is us getting on planes to go places and do things and be places we've never been and talk to people, that we've never talked to before.
That's awesome.
Like that's
that excites me.
Right? Like it's just I don't know what it is about it, man. And I don't know when it started. I was meditating one day and I saw a plane go by and I'm like, oh shit.
It almost like says to me too that I don't mean this, but we made it. Because even when I use that term, I want to use it loosely because I feel like you and I, even when we start doing that, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Like it's like we give a little fist pound, we're like, let's enjoy it, and then we're like, all right, back to work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's why but I know we can be and will be successful because we have that drive.
Yes.
And we've seen that if you are consistent, if you continue to meet people, you put out good vibes, man, you can be successful.
For sure. Yeah, and what's interesting about your vision too, and I'm going to ask you the same question. But before we get into that, what's interesting about like your vision? We keep saying it's your vision. I do want to preface it with this, is I heard this last week on a podcast, and I fucking loved it because it made me feel better about like some of the things in my vision. Rachel Hollis.
Nice.
Okay. And it was about, long story short, it was about her getting hair extensions because she was self-conscious about the way her hair looked. It was too thin, and she wanted to get hair extensions, but because her appearance, it made her feel different, and she was able to perform like better because of how she felt she looked. So I want to get hair extensions, and so
I was gonna say, okay.
So, but the premise of the conversation was like, sometimes if your visions and your thoughts come across as what some people may consider shallow, fuck them. Like that's okay. And I was like, damn, that's so real, because sometimes I have these thoughts and visions of like it's selfish shit. Like, man, I want to be to the point where I have success that I can walk out of my house and I'm on the beach. Like I want to have a vision of, my kids want an opportunity in something, and I'm well connected enough that I have a resource for them. Like I have those type of visions too that may seem like, oh, that's just for like your vanity or whatever. Like, it's like, nah, that's not what it's, that's not really not what it's about. But guess what? If it was, fuck you. Yeah. It's my vision. You know what I mean? Like
that's your life.
It's my life. And if I envision myself doing things that may seem shallow compared to the bigger picture of things, then that's okay. But I can have those as part of my vision. Yeah. I can have those shallow things in my vision. Absolutely. And that, when I learned that last week, I loved it. And like I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I'm like, all right, like,
because you can dream more.
Exactly. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be intentional with this now. What are some of the shallow things that I want to be part of my vision?
Yeah.
And so I was just like rolling things off. And so it was just fun to have that thought too. You don't have to be this martyr in your vision. You can be shallow to some people and still have that part of your vision.
You know what's funny you say that is because last Saturday when I was on my run, this it was a podcast. I forget exactly who I was listening to. It might have been Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu, and one of his guests said the same thing, where it almost like he was making comments. This is before he kind of got big, about one of his friends that had like a personal chef and had all these things, and he said, "Oh, he's got that, but I would never want it." And his friend was like, "Dude, why are you saying that? You totally would want that."
Exactly.
And so he goes, you have to understand what you would want. And some things maybe aren't for everybody, but what do you want? And it got me thinking, like, I'm not the type of person that's really ever been obsessed, like, I need this certain kind of car.
Mm-hmm.
To be quite frank with you, I want a car that's going to last me for a very long time.
Yeah, right.
And it's fuel efficient. Man, I just want to put oil in the thing, gas in it, and like bring me A to B, whatever. But what excited me is personal chef, because then that way I know my family's being well fed. They can cook a hell of a lot better than myself. It's taking away a pain for my wife, for Val. It's one consistent meal that can taste great to the kids. I mean, that would be huge. And when he said that, I started to kind of research, hey, how much is a personal chef?
Right.
What about one meal a week?
Right.
Because remember when Ed Milet, he would go to that hotel on a weekend that was like so expensive.
Yep.
To just get a taste. So he would,
I love that.
So he would know exactly, hey, how it feels.
Exactly.
Does it feel right? That's what I'm going to work towards.
Exactly.
So it's like, hey, this gives you not only just, you can use your imagination and dream, but it also kind of has like a goal on the side
For
too.
sure.
Where you're like, hey, I'm going to get that.
Exactly.
I'm going to get that.
Exactly. Right? Like, I like, listen, if I want to do something that I can't do right now, then make that part of my vision for the future. Like, think of it like, I probably shouldn't do that right now. It's probably not smart, like, to spend that money on this, whatever it is. Dude, in 10 years, I want to be able to be like, sure. Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. You know what I mean? Like, I can swing that because I worked for it.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how we kind of will trick ourselves into thinking that it's like spoiling yourself or whatever like that is being vain. Because that can totally be part of your vision. I'm a firm believer it should be part of your vision. So keep that in mind when you guys are kind of planning this whole thing and thinking about really what you envision for yourself in the future.
But it's also your life, and you want to enjoy your life.
Exactly.
Part of enjoying your life is dreaming and imagining.
Yes. You're a big proponent of that, as far as like people stop dreaming, and you're like, why?
Yeah. Because when you think about it too, when you start dreaming or when you dream and when you use your imagination, think about how fun that is. Think about how much energy that gives you.
Yeah.
But people stop using that kid side of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's given me like a reinvigorated. How do you say that word?
Reinvigorated you?
Yeah, reinvigorated.
Yeah. You'll find it. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we dream and use our imagination so often.
Yeah.
That we always get caught up. I mean, our brainstorming sessions, we're using our imagination.
Exactly. So I don't want to leave without asking you the same question you asked me though. So what's one thing in your vision that people would find interesting?
I would say now. I don't think I would be where I am right now with our vision and our journey if it wasn't for me really focusing on improving my communication skills with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I think once I really started to focus on improving myself and peeling back the layers of of maybe some scars that I had, if you will, and and just talking to Val through it, even just writing down all this emotional shit, and I would break down in front of her and talk. It got me to a place where I was just so comfortable around her that I could just talk to her about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, not anymore. For a while, I would just internalize everything, even if I was not the greatest me at that point. I would just internalize it. But now I feel like I can consistently be me, which means I can be a better husband and a better father for my boys. If I didn't do that, if I didn't focus on improving myself, if I didn't take time and really understand it's important for me to be open with my wife, I don't think I would still be on this journey with you. I think I would have probably given up
Mhm.
just because I would have internalized some shit. You
Yeah.
know?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Right.
It's because I'm thinking of it in my relationship too.
Yeah.
You know, like the other night when we had that relationship game, we
Yeah.
had like really cool conversations from that. And it's like those conversations, they do change everything
Yeah.
about your life when you have them.
Because it's huge to have that support from your spouse.
Oh, of course it is.
You know. And
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we always talk about, and that's the thing too. I also want to press this: we practice what we preach,
Yes.
and it's huge.
Yeah. Unless you're freaking out about a camp and you're texting your
Yeah.
guy for
Yeah.
when he's on
For real,
vacation.
yeah, but for real, be
Yeah.
open with your spouses.
Yeah.
Take time with your kids. Give them attention.
Yeah.
Because you got to take care of your family first.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, that is a wrap. Thank you so much for listening in. Listen, check out our YouTube page. We're trying to get that up and running a little bit more now. Check it out, Model Mindset Fitness and Coaching on YouTube. Share the pod for your friends, family that you think this could be helpful for. Having a vision is very unique. Having a vision is something that's super exciting to explore. We encourage all you guys. Check out your own vision. Really dive into it. Plan it out. Have fun with it. And remember, it's your vision, nobody else's.
Yeah, that was fucking great.
That was fun. I love that. Dude, I love that combo.
Really good one, huh? Fuck, that was a damn good episode. That was 53 minutes.
I know. It'll probably be like a little less than 50.
Yeah, that
But-
was a good one, man. Dude, that was just flowing the entire
was.
time.
It was.
I gotta, before I forget, Rodney Rogers. I gotta.
What happened? Oh, Rodney Rogers.
Rodney Rogers.